But first, when he finishes anchoring our 6 o'clock news on Friday, Pat Callaghan will walk out the door and head home to a new chapter in his life. After 43 years here at News Center, Maine, Pat is retiring. His run has been extraordinary, combining longevity, popularity, and first-rate journalism. Pat and I started working together here in 1982, and when we sat down to look back on his career, we had no shortage of things to talk about. Let me start with this. Do you remember the first time you ever came into this building?
I do. I came here, I was living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'd been working at public television in New Hampshire and casting tapes around, and I thought the Portland market looked kind of interesting, a place I might be able to get some action. And I came up to meet with Fred Nutter, who was news director at the time, who liked what he saw on the tape. What he had to tell me, unfortunately, was that the higher-ups, the people on the fourth floor, decided I needed more seasoning. And so that they were going to kick my tape upstairs to the little baling wire operation in Bangor. That was the phrase that Fred Nutter used, which filled me with confidence and excitement that this was my future.
At what age did you have a pretty good idea that you wanted to work in broadcast news?
I don't know when it actually struck me. You know, I always had an interest in it. Read newspapers a lot, and my dad was in TV news and all of that. So, I knew it was something you could do. And I didn't follow a route of a journalism degree. I followed a route of liberal arts, which was history and English, because those were the things that I liked. And how do you use those things? Well, history is about facts and remembering things, and English is about telling stories. So that all appealed to me as much as anything. And since I realized I couldn't make a living playing records on the radio that I like, only records that I want to hear, that maybe another venue was going to be better for me. And radio news was first, and then TV news.
You basically just stole one of my questions, which was, you love music more than anyone I've ever met in my life who doesn't make a living from music. And your knowledge of popular music is encyclopedic. So why did you never become a radio DJ?
Doing it in college was fantastic because you have complete freedom. And I recognized pretty early on that radio stations have tight playlists and a lot of things you've got to do that you don't necessarily want to do. And that part of it didn't necessarily appeal to me. Now, if I had followed a career in radio, I'd like to think I'd be on Sirius XM doing one of those satellite survey shows and filling your head with trivia while I play all these long forgotten records. Those are the best shows because you get to hear the songs that were hits, but not giant hits that still get played.
See, even now, you get fired up. You get pumped up just thinking about doing that.
Yeah, it's true.
When you started here at News Center, how long did you think you might stay?
Well, I didn't think it would be a long time. I could see 5 or 6 years or something like that. I did 3 years at the Bangor station at WLBZ and then moved here in '83 to Portland. And, I was working weekends and producing those shows. And after I was about 6 years of that shift, I was starting to get restless. That's not where I wanted to stay. And I told the bosses here, I said, look, I'm not quitting or anything, but I'm just thinking I want to, keep working until I find something else once this contract is up. And they decided, well, we don't want to lose him, so they made a switch and they put me on weeknights 6 and 11. And that's when you realize, well, this could last longer then. One of the things that dawns on you the longer you spend in Maine is what a great place this is to live and raise a family. People want to come here, and we're already here. And they're paying me to tell stories about what happens here. So there really isn't much better than that. And so I never could have dreamed, no one can dream at 23 years old that you're going to be somewhere 43 years. Not possible.
The idea of staying at one station, one local station for 43 years, back then would have been kind of outlandish because back then news anchors moved around. They jumped to bigger markets or they got fired a lot. There was a lot more of that kind of thing, just a lot more turnover. And so the idea that you would have been here for more than 4 decades would have been, to your youthful mind, inconceivable.
Well, and there were people in management here who didn't think that was possible or a good idea either, and yet somehow I outlasted them. There's no bitterness here, but you remember those things, and yeah, it's a nomadic business, and it's logical that you start out as a reporter and you want to get to a bigger market and make more money and get better assignments and maybe move to the anchor desk. But this is a good gig. It really is.
We're going to bring you more of our conversation with Pat tomorrow on 207 when we talk about what he's going to miss the most around here, and he'll have a suggestion on what song perhaps should be played when he, the music fanatic, leaves the newsroom for the last time.